Get that out of here. No time for that. Got work to do. Okay. Let's do this thing. I already look like I'm tired. So I think what we're going to have to do is finish sections 4 and 5. And then probably need to re-record section 6. But we can at least throw section 6 in there. So we'll have a finished video by the end of the night. Then after I get some good sleep, I'll probably re-record section 6 because I looked at it last night and I wasn't happy with how it came out. I think I was too tired when I recorded it that time. So, here we go. Oh. I'm Know Nothing Attorney. I know nothing so you can too. Because it's only in embracing that we know nothing that we can learn something, and I'm here to learn with you. Let's go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he's already yawning. Okay. Let's go. Zoom out. All right, let's watch what we did last night.
On January 6th, including those that attacked law enforcement officers. Donald Trump demanded the indictment of James Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia James for investigating him, despite prosecutors in his own Justice Department finding insufficient evidence. These aren't isolated incidents. They're connected by a pattern. Constitutional assumptions that no longer hold. The Constitution assumes that duties will be carried out by honorable civil servants interested in the peaceful transfer of power. That pardons will serve justice,
out of the way.
not self-interest. That the exercise of executive power be premised on evidence, not personal grudges. The Constitution was built on gentlemen's agreements. And there are few gentlemen left to maintain it. Together, these executive overreaches reveal what we're really dealing with.
This is a Hydra problem.
A Hydra has many heads, and I've only shown you 3.
Oop, but those didn't come out timed right.
For dozens more constitutional crises and violations.
Those didn't come out timed right.
What we're really dealing with. This is a Hydra problem. A Hydra has many heads, and I've only shown you 3.
Don't think that's quite right.
Shown you 3. Shown you. Shown you. Shown you. And I've only shown you 3. Only shown you 3. But the Trump administration is responsible for dozens more constitutional crises and violations. Seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs, blocking congressional seats, dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically purging military leadership,
attempting to deny citizenship,
cruel and unusual punishment, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians to gut agencies, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, purging the press corps, mass disinformation, attacking state election processes, extorting a foreign nation to investigate a political opponent.
What?
Attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars. Each crisis demands
I'm not gonna
a
redo
meaningful
this.
response, but there are too many to fight individually. And here's the problem with fighting a Hydra. Cutting off heads doesn't kill it. Even if we remove every bad actor tomorrow,
Am I still
even
undoing
if
stuff? I can't
Trump
tell if I'm
leaves
undoing
office,
stuff.
the constitutional holes remain. The blueprint for how to exploit them is now public.
What happened to everything that was in this line? What happened to everything that was in this line? God dang, dude. I'm undoing everything I did at the end of the night last night.
For instance, if the president shows you
has many
their pardon
heads,
power can be used
and
to
I've only
excuse
shown you
crimes
3.
committed to keep them in power,
But the Trump administration is responsible for
you can make an
dozens more
amendment
constitutional
to
crises
remove
and
the pardon
violations.
power from the president.
Seizing congressional
That's
appropriations,
changing
claiming
the rules.
unilateral authority to end federal programs, blocking congressional seats,
For instance,
dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal
For
troops in
instance,
non-consenting states,
if the president shows you they
There it is. That was what killed everything. Bannon. Bannon ruined my life.
For instance,
dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal
For
troops in
instance,
non-consenting states,
if the president shows you they can use their
politically
pardon
purging
power
military leadership,
to excuse
attempting to
crimes
deny
committed
citizenship,
cruel and
and
unusual
unusual
punishment,
punishment, dismantling federal oversight,
allowing
you
wealthy
can make an
civilians
amendment
to gut
dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal
For
troops in
instance,
non-consenting states,
if the president shows you they can use their
politically
pardon
God damn it, dude. There it is.
For instance,
dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal
For
troops in
instance,
non-consenting states,
if the president shows you they can use their
politically
Nope.
purging
power
military leadership,
to excuse
attempting to
crimes
deny
committed
citizenship,
cruel
and
and
unusual
unusual
punishment,
power,
dismantling federal oversight,
allowing
you
wealthy
can make an
civilians
amendment
to gut
purging
agencies,
administrative
take the
scientists for refusing to
excuse
support
false
legal,
claims,
ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of
denying
loyalty, aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states,
For
attacking the
instance,
free press,
you
chilling
can make
free
an
speech, urging the
amendment.
press corps, mass
For
disinformation,
instance,
targeting individuals based on
if
political
the
attacks on
president
university
shows
funds,
you
attacking state
that the
election
pardon
processes,
power-
unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign nation to investigate a political
foreign
opponent,
gifts,
using public office for family profit,
For instance,
seats,
For instance,
dismantling
if the president
congressionally mandated
reveals
agencies,
they can
deploying
use the
federal
pardon
troops in
power to
non-consenting
excuse
states,
attempts to keep them in power,
politically purging military leadership,
take
Attempting to deny
pardon
citizenship.
power
cruel and unusual
away from
punishment,
the president.
dismantling federal oversight,
Allowing
wealthy
that's
civilians to
politically
gut
purging
agencies,
administration.
purging scientists for refusing to support
Chilling
false
legal,
claims,
ignoring
court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, urging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election processes, unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign nation to investigate a political foreign gifts, using public office for family profit,
For instance,
attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars, sowing
if a
doubt in the
president-
electoral process.
For instance, if a president shows you they can use the
Man,
pardon
I feel
power
like giving up
to
tonight.
excuse
That's
attempts
so
to keep them
frustrating.
in power,
That's so frustrating.
If If a president shows, even if we remove every bad actor tomorrow,
excuse attempts to
even
keep them
if
in power,
Trump
that
is now
is
public,
changing the rules,
sowing doubt in the electoral process. Project 2025, for instance, a policy framework
if the
distorting
president
a
shows
foreign
the
nation
executive
power
power
investigate a
can be
political
used to
exists
excuse
with
attempts
or without extorting a foreign
Trump.
nation to investigate.
I can't believe I've had to do this section like 3 times.
With fighting a hydra, deploying federal troops and cutting off heads, for instance, doesn't politically antagonizing U.S. Even if we remove doesn't dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership, attempting to deny citizenship, cruel and unusual punishment, dismantling federal Trump leaves office, politically purging military constitutional holes, attempting to deny citizenship. The blueprint for how to unusual punishment that is now extrajudicial killings. Dismantling Project 2025 for
Huh? Why? Murders is what I mean. Murders. He's done a murders. Like a piece of shit. Oh boy, Austin, you're losing it. What's the deal with this? Why are you like that? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Hello? Hello? God damn, dude.
attempting to deny citizenship, and unusual extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal
You know, one thing I didn't look at.
consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership, attempting to deny citizenship, and unusual extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging the administration, scientists for refusing dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing.
Five? What the f-
politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership, attempting to deny citizenship, and unusual extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging the administration, scientists for refusing to support false claims, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, purging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election process, unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign nation to investigate a political gifts, using public office for family profit, attempting to pay.
I zoned out. I should have taken my Adderall.
Dismantling president claiming unilateral authority to end federal
This is a nightmare.
Dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership,
Attempting to deny
cruel
citizenship.
and unusual extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging the administrating scientists for refusing to support false claims, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, purging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election process, unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign nation to investigate accepting foreign gifts, using public office for family profit, attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars, sowing doubt in the electoral process.
Okay, we are back with all of that audio. Probably would have been better for me to just get the audio back and not redo it all over again. What is this clip? Why do I have this here? What am I?
Pardon power, seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs.
Screw it. I want it out of the way so I can figure out what I'm doing.
Agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership,
Attempting to deny citizenship.
cruel and unusual punishment, extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging the administrating scientists for refusing to support false claims, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, purging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election process. 3. But the Trump administration is responsible for dozens more constitutional crises and violations. Seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs. Seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs, blocking congressional seats.
Yeah, that wasn't what I meant to do.
Agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership,
Attempting to deny citizenship.
cruel and unusual punishment, extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging, seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs, blocking congressional seats, dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership,
Attempting to deny. Hold on.
politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leadership.
That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it.
Attempting to deny citizenship.
What?
Claiming unilateral authority to end federal politically antagonizing U.S. troops against dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against politically purging military leaders.
Civilians. Civilians.
Deploying federal politically troops antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians. In non-consenting states, politically deploying federal troops in non-consenting states. Deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians, politically purging military leadership,
Attempting to deny citizenship.
cruel and unusual.
I heard something weird.
Non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians, politically purging military leadership,
Attempting to deny citizenship.
cruel and unusual punishment, extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging the administration.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on.
Dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians politically purging extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal oversight, punishment, extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal allowing wealthy civilians to gut agents, the administrative scientists for refusing to extrajudicial killing, dismantling federal allowing wealthy civilians to gut agents, the administrative scientists for refusing to support false claims. Federal allowing wealthy civilians to gut agents, the administrative scientists for refusing to support false claims, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, urging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election process, unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign investigative
What?
agents, the administrative scientists for refusing to support false claims, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, urging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals free speech, urging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university.
It sounds so weird.
Urging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election process, unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign nation to investigate accepting foreign gifts, using public office for family profit, attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars, sowing doubt in the electoral process.
I think I'm happy with that. All right.
January 6th, 2021.
They're coming, baby. Get the spaghetti!
Of course, that's what we all think of. But that's not where the real action was that day. You want to see something really scary?
If Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election.
Pursuant to the law, Chapter 1 of Title 3.
This is the closest our Constitution ever came to complete collapse. When one man's conscience saved America's claim to the word republic. For a time. Not institutions, not checks and balances. No. By this moment, those had already failed to protect us. Mike Pence alone spared us by doing the bare minimum. Counting correctly. Despite the risks he knew he would face, he did his constitutional duty, instead of going along with a criminal conspiracy to override the people's will with fake electoral votes. Yeah, fake. Yeah, criminal. They tried to get Mike Pence to rely on fraudulent electoral votes to choose the next president unilaterally. But you don't have to listen to me on this one. Listen to the people who took part in the months of scheming. We have the receipts. Uncomfortable. Unsound. Not valid. No good. Illegal. Dangerous for the Republic itself. Treasonous. What the president wanted. Fake. Sorry. Alternative. That was a lot, but most Americans have no idea how close we came. That's why I needed you to understand before you hear the rest. That was almost 5 years ago, and the comeuppance for the people who planned to silently end American democracy? Nothing. While they waited, we caught our breath and did nothing to stop them from trying again. And then those same people easily reclaimed the reins of power. The Constitution remains, but as January 6th made clear, it is structurally compromised. And that will be true no matter who we entrust it to. And the proven persistent threat of a constitutional crisis is itself a constitutional crisis. And there is only one solution when the Constitution becomes the crisis: an Article 5 Constitutional Convention. The Constitution's option for rewriting its own rules. A tool for the states to completely remake the federal government without asking its permission. But Article 5 only works if we remember its power, and if we can bind our fates together to wield it. I'm No Nothing attorney, and I'm here because we need to talk about options we usually ignore because they have a reputation for being too difficult. But there comes a point when too difficult has to become merely difficult. And for the US Constitution, this is that point. Constitutional law is a body of law focused on the co-authored definition of a people's rights and the distribution of their joint power. I fell in love with constitutional law because I see it as our attempt to codify our best instincts, to improve our shared existence. That gives me a head start on explaining Article 5, but you don't need a law degree to understand it or use it. Article 5 was designed for the people, not lawyers. We're going to touch on some big ideas today, and some of them deserve their own videos in the future. But for right now, I just need to teach you the basics. Let me show you what Article 5 says. The Congress, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, what shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by 3/4 of the several states. If you're not keeping score, that's 34 states to call a convention, and 38 to ratify whatever comes out of it. And I mean whatever. Up to and including a complete rewrite of the Constitution. Heck, we've used it to make every major change to the government in American history. Women's right to vote, equal protection under the law, the abolition of slavery. Time and time again, Article 5 has taken the unrealistic and made it reality. There is no limit. The only thing explicitly protected from rewrite is equal representation of the states in the Senate. And when lawyers read law, there's a rule. The intentional inclusion of certain things means the intentional exclusion of all others. So when the founders noted only one exception to Article 5's power, the equal representation of the states in the Senate, it meant they intended the tool to be capable of quite literally anything else. And why wouldn't they? That's exactly what they were doing when they wrote it. Using a convention to factory reset their government. Don't forget, our current Constitution is the second one. When the founders saw that the Articles of Confederation were broken, they didn't enshrine the document as untouchable. No. They acknowledged it and replaced it with something better. And make no mistake, our system is broken. I'm going to show you exactly how it's broken, why Article 5 is the only solution, and why a constitutional convention is safer than we might think. Here's how it's supposed to work. The federal government was designed to have limited and separate powers. The courts ensure rights are protected and constitutional limits are upheld. Congress makes federal law. The president executes those laws faithfully, doesn't write them, doesn't ignore them, executes them as directed. Each branch checks the others. That's the design. That's not what we're watching unfold today. Let's look at 3 constitutional crises from recent. Each branch checks the others. That's the design. That's not what we're watching unfold today. Let's look at 3 constitutional crises from recent history. Not hypotheticals, not exaggerations. Real violations of the constitutional order that should terrify every American equally, regardless of political affiliation. As I mentioned at the top, Donald Trump attempted to overturn the results of a Democratic election by substituting states' certified votes with fake ones for himself. While calling them patriots, Donald Trump pardoned approximately 1,500 people who participated in the storming of the Capitol on January 6th, including those that attacked law enforcement officers. Donald Trump demanded the indictment of James Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia James for investigating him, despite prosecutors in his own Justice Department finding insufficient evidence. These aren't isolated incidents. They're connected by a pattern. Constitutional assumptions that no longer hold. The Constitution assumes that duties will be carried out by honorable civil servants interested in the peaceful transfer of power. That pardons will serve justice, not self-interest. That the exercise of executive power be premised on evidence, not personal grudges. The Constitution was built on gentlemen's agreements, and there are few gentlemen left to maintain it. Together, these executive overreaches reveal what we're really dealing with. This is a Hydra problem. A Hydra has many heads, and I've only shown you 3. But the Trump administration is responsible for dozens more constitutional crises and violations. Seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs, blocking congressional seats, dismantling congressionally mandated agencies, deploying federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians, politically purging military leadership, attempting to deny citizenship, cruel and unusual punishment, extrajudicial killings, dismantling federal allowing wealthy civilians to politically gut agents, purging the administration, scientists for refusing to support false claims, ignoring court orders, demanding oaths of loyalty, denying aid to U.S. territories, denying aid to U.S. states, attacking the free press, chilling free speech, purging the press corps, mass disinformation, targeting individuals based on political attacks on university funding, attacking state election process, unilateral acts of war, extorting a foreign nation to investigate accepting foreign gifts, using public office for family profit, attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars, sowing doubt in the electoral process.
Left off.
Each crisis demands immediate response.
Ugh.
But there are
I'm so sleepy. I can tell I have already expected too much of myself by saying no sleep until we're done. Boy.
exercise of executive powers, not self-interest. The Constitution just rewrote it. The administration is responsible for dozens more constitutional extrajudicial killings, dismantling each crisis. And here's the problem: a Hydra has many heads, and I've only shown you 3. But the Trump administration is responsible for dozens more constitutional crises and violations. Seizing congressional appropriations, claiming unilateral authority to end federal programs, blocking congressional seats, dismantling congressionally mandated agents, federal troops in non-consenting states, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians, politically purging military leadership, attempting to deny citizenship, cruel and unusual punishment, extrajudicial killings, dismantling federal oversight, allowing wealthy civilians to gut agencies, politically purging the administrative purging scientists for refusing. Has many heads. Presidential democracy itself. Just rewrote it. It never imagined a coordinated scheme across multiple states to substitute
I don't like
fake
the segment.
ones. Just rewrote it. It assumes that the pardon power
Yeah. I don't like this segment. I just rewrote it.
crimes committed to try to keep them in power. That's the Hydra. That's the Hydra. Person to exploit them. Same vulnerabilities, same instance. If a president reveals the instant pardon, for instance, fall back on to deny orders. But by being
Man, I really started melting into my chair.
And more importantly, in this scenario, our troops are no longer isolated. Given them a valid competing interpretation, their state, Article 5, can do. And if you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And if you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. If you think you're winning on one front, you're losing on 100 others. That's
Okay. So I say, F this and never mess with stuff down here ever again. Go up here. Nothing can get hurt.
Attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars, sowing doubt in the electoral process. Family profit. Attempting to pay himself accepting foreign gifts, using public office for family profit. Attempting to pay himself with taxpayer dollars, sowing doubt in the electoral process.
And if you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And if you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct,
Each crisis demands
I'm glad you see the
immediate
problem.
response. But there are too
If you
many
think
to
you're
fight
winning on one
individually.
front, you're losing on 100
And here's the
others.
problem with fighting the
That's
Hydra. Deploying federal troops.
And if you think 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 other pre- if you think if you think if you think if you think other if you think 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 other if you think 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 other if you
If you think, if you think, if you think, if you think, if you think.
if you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're
Each
correct,
crisis demands
glad you see the
immediate
problem.
response. But there are too
if you
many
think
to
you're
fight
winning on one
individually.
front, you're losing on 100
And here's the
others.
problem with fighting the
That's
Hydra. Deploying federal
That's the Hydra.
constitutional holes
And if you
remain
think
for how to unusual
presidents have
is
done
now
these
public.
things, to the limited extent
Project
federal
2025, for
I'm
instance,
glad you
allowing
see
Oh.
is
done
now
these
public.
things,
The blueprint for how to
at
an
least
unusual
pointing to other
punishment
presidents have
is
done
now
these
public.
things, to the limited extent
Project
federal
2025, for
I'm
instance,
glad you
allowing
see
a
the
policy
possibilities to
framework
gut
designed to
agencies.
maximize executive
Politically
power,
purging
the administrative state, exists with
Purging scientists
or
for refusing to
without support
Trump.
false claims.
Purging
traditional
scientists for
solutions,
refusing to support false
voting,
claims.
protesting,
Chilling
prosecuting,
legal resistance. are more important than ever,
demanding oaths of loyalty.
but
And let this
they
denying
can't
aid to
fix
U.S.
the
territory.
underlying
If you
structural
think you're
problems
denying
on
aid
one
to
front,
U.S.
they can
states,
only
you're
address
probably
denying
losing aid to U.S.
others.
states,
That's
attacking the free press,
the Hydra.
you
You can only
chilling free
beat
speech,
the Hydra by
purging
changing
the
the
press
rules
corps
of the
heads,
fight.
mass
We can take that
disinformation,
lesson straight from Hercules.
targeting individuals
New
based on
rule,
beliefs, and
no
let
more
this be
heads.
political attacks on university funding.
If you think
The
you're
point,
winning on
attacking
this,
state election,
you're
don't
probably
attacking
losing
state
play by
election
the
processes.
monsters rules. That's
Unilateral
the Hydra.
acts of
Your
war,
own. A Hydra.
extorting a foreign
That's
nation,
what Article 5 does.
accepting foreign gifts,
It can close the constitutional
family with
vulnerabilities
taxpayer
the bad
dollars,
actors exploited,
attempting to pay
and it
himself
can
with
do
taxpayer
even
dollars.
more than
I think that was the
Doubt
one.
electoral process,
Article 5.
extorting a foreign
changes
nation
this
to
everything.
investigate a political
Nope.
opponent.
If you think
Let's
you're
look at
winning
what
on
fighting
one
a
front,
Hydra
extorting a foreign
looks
nation
like,
to
you're
investigate a
probably
political
losing on
opponent.
100 others. I
That's
want you to
a
absorb
Hydra
this quote from
has
Staff
many
Sergeant
a
Denny
Hydra
Palachek
heads.
of the Illinois
And if you
National
think-
Guard.
And if you think other presidents have done these things, to the extent you're right, I'm glad you see the problem.
Now imagine the president turns the U.S. military against the.
I'm glad you see right. I'm glad you're right. You're right. I'm glad you see the problem.
Under some flimsy commander in chief.
These holes
just
just
claiming
wait
the
for
equal
the
right
next
to
person
interpret.
Do 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 do.
see the problem. Done these things. To the extent you're right,
Of the Illinois Palachek
heads.
of the Illinois.
And if you
National
absorb
Guard.
this quote
from
has
Staff
many
Sergeant
a
Denny
Hydra
Palachek.
heads.
Snip. Snip, snip, snip. Snip, 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 snip.
And
let
nation
this be
to
a warning.
investigate a
Five,
extorting a foreign
changes.
nation.
Five.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Calm down.
Using public office.
Da da dum. Ba da dum. Da 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 dun dun.
Limited extent, you're correct.
So doubt in the electoral process.
If you think other presidents have If you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're If you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And let If you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're If you think other presidents If you think other presidents have done these things, If you think other presidents have done these things, doubt in the electoral process. If you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate response to fight, but there are too many to fight individually.
Come on. Dun, 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 dun.
If you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And let this be a warning.
Just take me to YouTube. Just take me to YouTube. I don't want to deal with that. Huh?
Breaking news, the Senate has formally passed the bill to release the Epstein files, sending it to the president's desk. President Trump has said he will sign it, but here for more on that.
Voted for in legislation. He said that when the House president.
So what happened?
Perhaps it could. The investigative material, big unknown Epstein, the Attorney General moved forward on that.
Others who were not, and then some who have passed away. Cheer president to Epstein. And so notes, even if the squarely.
The president with business and their own ties to Saudi Arabia. Yesterday, our colleague Mary Bruce asked the president about this, whether there were conflicts of interest for his family to do business there.
That was really gross.
He brushed that off.
I'm just gonna make myself really angry real quick.
I heard this week something very disturbing me from President Trump about my husband. He's controversial and he's unliked. I would like to tell Mr. Trump you're expressing someone else, not Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi was most stable man. He was a role model to represent us as an Arabic and Muslim, and he accepts everybody regarding your ideology background as well. They try to paint him like he's a friend of Osama bin Laden or his Muslim Brotherhood, and all of this excuse. This not excuse to take his life away. There is no justification to kidnap him, torture him, and to kill him and to cut him to pieces. This is a terrorist act. What they did, this 17 men on behalf of the order came from the Saudi authority. It's a terrorist act.
Our intelligence agencies concluded that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the murder of Ms. Khashoggi's husband. When a president sidelines his own intelligence community to shield a foreign leader, America's credibility is at stake. The Khashoggi family and the public deserve to hear the truth. We need straight answers about this conversation.
So mad.
Mr. President, is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But
Fake
I'll ask you a
president.
question. I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. And anything they've done has been very good. That's what we've done. We've built a tremendous business for a long time. I've been very successful. I decided to leave that success behind and make America very successful. And I've made America more successful by far than it ever was, and that it ever could have been no matter who was president. There would be nobody bringing in $21 trillion, that I can tell you right now. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's
You're not bringing in $21 trillion.
You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about.
Piece of
Whether
shit.
you like him or didn't like him, things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Just yes, Mr. President, you allow me to answer. You know, I feel painful about, the families of 9/11 in America, but, we have to focus on reality. Reality based on CIA documents and based on a lot of documents that Osama bin Laden, he used Saudi people in that event for one main purpose, is to destroy this relation, to destroy the American-Saudi relation. That's the purpose of 9/11. So whoever buy in that means they are helping Osama bin Laden's purpose of destroying this relation. He knows that strong relation between America and Saudi Arabia, it's bad for extremism, it's bad for terrorism. And we have to approve him wrong and to build our relation, to continue developing our relation. It's critical in the safety of the world. It's critical against extremism and terrorism. About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or nothing illegal way. And it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc. in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. And it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on.
Good God. That's so frustrating. Sometimes I really hate the world we live in. Just evil people. No, download it. There we go. I don't want this source. Why are y'all burying the number? Why are y'all burying the number? It was James Scofies. It's a name I should know. New York State Senator. Why is there no good headline about this? Get off me. No sleep till. Why is it so hard? Dude.
This is democracy over nutrition, diarrhea, and a skin rash.
Went to visit system of we gave 55 countries.
Fine, I'll take the James Scovis tweet. Ba-da-dum. Ba-da-dum. USAID. Okay. What was the other one I wanted to grab? Ah, of course. I didn't do Medicaid. Insurance premium. That wasn't helpful information. Right, I was looking at insurance. The end of expanded subsidies for the Affordable Care Act exchanges. The end of expanded subsidies for the Affordable Care Act exchanges means more people will go without health insurance. Workers, Wow, this is a very poorly written subtitle. The end of expanded subsidies for the Affordable Care Act exchanges means more people will go without health insurance. Workers, doctors, and researchers said. Ugh. Can't use that. That's horrible. Ugh. It's probably the best one. Not a great source site, though. Obamacare sticker shock. Wow. This is why healthcare premiums are going up. The stupid insurance provides guaranteed coverage. Oh my god. Fox News, you are embarrassing. Source of this? USA Today. Okay. That's better. Well, that was not spelled correctly at all. Now I need the USA Today logo. Thank you. Stop. Get on my face. Okay. Stop. USAID, EPA, healthcare. I had just thought of another one. I wouldn't call that a loss, I guess. Just embarrassing. What am I forgetting? Yeah, where's the school lunches? School lunch programs. Cut. News. Oh, I was going to look for rural hospital closures. March 13th, 2025. God damn it. "76 Texas rural hospitals on life support." Bro. Not great articles. It's the best. Okay.
And let this be a warning. If you think...
A warning. Did I decide there was something in here I wanted specifically? Don't think it was her. Oh, that's better. Like that just fine. Don't need any audio on that.
This be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands that's what it means response to fight, but there are too many to fight individually.
Da-do-da-do-da-da-da-do. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What was that? What happened? Do 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 do.
Winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate response to fight, but there are too many to fight individually. One front, if you think you're winning on one front, you're If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate If you And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis
That's not what I meant. I'm gonna go the other way. Probably not that far.
front, you're probably losing on
Yeah, it was way too far.
And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, and let this be a warning. And let this be
God damn it, Da Vinci. No sleep till. Man, that hurt. What did I just do to myself? Damn it.
And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate response to fight, but there are too many to fight individually.
Yo, hold on. Hold up now.
on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate response to fight, but there are too many to fight individually. Too many to fight individually. And here's too many to fight individually. And here's the problem with fighting a Hydra. Deploying federal troops and
Okay.
cutting off heads doesn't kill it. Even if we remove every bad actor tomorrow, politically antagonizing U.S. troops against civilians, Trump leaves office, politically purging military leadership.
Okay, I can get rid of that. You don't need that anymore.
A Hydra. Deploying federal troops. Executive power purging the administrative state. Process. If you think other presidents have done these things, to the limited extent you're correct, I'm glad you see the problem. And let this be a warning. If you think you're winning on one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate response to fight, but there are too many to fight individually. And here's the problem with fighting a Hydra. On one front, you're probably losing on 100 others. Each crisis demands immediate response to fight, but there are too And here's the problem with fighting a Hydra. Cutting off heads doesn't kill it. Even if we remove every bad actor tomorrow, probably losing on 100 others. That's what it means to fight a Hydra. To fight a Hydra. And here's the problem with fighting a Hydra. Cutting off heads doesn't kill it. Even if we Cutting off heads doesn't kill it. Even if we remove every bad actor tomorrow, even if Trump leaves office, the constitutional hold.
Right. Here's that garbage again. Bannon. Mr. Bannon. There we go. Da 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 da. There.
Even even if Trump leaves office. Even if Trump leaves office. Even if Trump leaves office, the constitutional holes remain. The blueprint for how to exploit them is now public. Project 20. Exploit them is now public. Exploit them is now public. Project 2025, for instance, a policy framework designed to maximize executive power.
What?
Project 2025, for instance, a policy.
Right, it has to be down here.
Project 2025, for instance, a policy framework designed to maximize executive power. Project 2025, for instance, a policy framework designed to maximize executive power, exists with or without Trump. For how to exploit them is now public. Project 2025, for instance, a policy framework designed to maximize executive power. Project 2025, for instance, a policy framework designed to maximize executive power, exists with or without Trump. And traditional solutions, voting, protesting.
Oh, that explains. Okay. That explains a lot.
Exists designed to maximize executive power, exists with or without Trump. And traditional solutions, for instance, a policy framework designed to maximize executive power, exists with or without Trump. And traditional solutions, voting, protesting. protesting, prosecuting are more important. And traditional solutions, voting, protesting, prosecuting, are more important than ever. But they can't fix the underlying structural problems. They can only address symptoms. You can only address symptoms. You can only be
That helped for some reason. Okay, now to my videos.
because that's where real power lies. To refuse orders. For instance, if a president shows you they can use the different president, different government, same vulnerabilities, same blueprint for abuse. Without structural amendments, these holes just wait for the next person to exploit them.
I think I decided to move on without changing that. Yeah.
You can only be You can only beat a Hydra by changing the rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. You can
That doesn't even make any fucking sense. Actually, I can do whatever I want with that. Because I can crop.
You can only beat a Hydra by changing the rules. You can only beat a Hydra by change by change by change by change by by changing the rule by changing the rules changing the rule changing the rule changing the by changing the rules of the rules rules of rules of rules of rules of rules rules of the rules of the rules of rules of the 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 fight of the fight. We can take that lesson by changing the rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. Lesson straight from Hercules. New rule, no more heads. The point is this.
Scoot everything along. Put it back. Clean the droids. Can I go to Tahashi Station? Tahashi Station. Okay, now that I've preserved everything. Let's go put this back in there. They don't make them like this anymore.
Other problem. To the limited extent you're correct on 100 others. That I want you to absorb this. It means to fight a Hydra. Same blueprint for abuse. Without structural amendments, it can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited, fix them, and it can. For structural amendments, these holes just wait. Your party doesn't fix them. Demi Palachek of the Illinois National Guard. Under some of these, the equal right option. Instead, for instance, does orders to their sons and daughters. It doesn't ratify an amendment. It can close. For instance, if a president shows you that make an amendment, the point is this. If the president shows you that play by the monsters used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, that's what Article 5 can make an amendment to take the pardon power. It can close the constitutional vulnerability. Demi Palachek. Now imagine. I want you to absorb this looks like in practice. Let's abilities the bad actors exploited, changing the rules, and it can do. Shows you that they're the point is this. If the president shows you that play by the monsters used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, that's what Article 5 does. To take the pardon power. It can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited, changing the rules, and it can do even more than that. Article changing the rules, and it can do even. By changing the rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. New rule, no more heads. Changing the rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. New rule, no more heads. For instance. For instance, if the president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep. For instance, is this. If the president shows you don't the pardon power. For instance, if the president. For instance.
A bitch.
For instance, if the president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away from the president. That's changing the rules. That's changing the rules. The point is this. Don't play by the monsters' rules. Make your own. That's what our
What?
That's changing the rules. The point is this. Don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited, and it can do even more than that. That's changing the rules. The point is this: don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited, and it can do even more than that. That's changing the rules. The point is this: don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited, and it can do even more than that. Article 5 changes everything. Let's look at what fighting a Hydra looks like in practice. I want you to absorb this quote from Staff Sergeant Demi.
I'm burning out. I'm burning out. Oh man, I'm burning out.
New rule, no more heads. For instance, if the president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away from the president. That's changing the rules. The point is this: point is this. The rules. The point is this. The point is this: don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can close the Constitution.
Okay.
Power away from the president. That's changing the rule. Then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away. If the president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crime, changing the rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. New rule, no more heads. For instance, if the president shows you that the pardon power
Good evening. We're coming.
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people, sir.
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people.
This is January 6th. where we're doing further research. 6 commutations.
Were there any citizens to action against invasion based on the current crisis at the borders? Sir, this is an
Why don't we get that down so they can get them going?
occurred on January 6, 20.
Okay.
Coming on the air with more break.
New rule, no more heads. Rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. New rule, no more heads. For instance,
relating to events that
if the
occurred on
president
January
shows
6,
you that
2021.
pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep
I think this order will apply to approximately.
then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away from the president. That's changing the rules.
Ugh. Okay, I think I know what I want to do with that.
If the president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, then you
Spray paint won't work. Burak. Um.
president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, then you can make an power. Then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away from the president. That away from the president. That That's change. That's 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 then you no more heads. For instance, if the president shows you that the pardon power can be used to excuse crimes committed to try to keep them in power, then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away from the president. That's changing the rules. The point is this: don't play by the monster's rules. Make crimes committed to try to keep them in power, then you can make an amendment to take the pardon power away from the president. changing the rules. The point is this: don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited, and it can do even more than that. Article 5 changes everything. More than that. Article 5 changes everything. Even more than that. Article 5 changes everything.
Still the same video or what? I think it's still the same video.
The Constitution assumes judicial killing, dismantling federal have given them a valid competing interpretation. In this scenario, our troops.
Okay. I gotta call it. And finish the video on Saturday. All day tomorrow to finish everything that I need to. So that will do it for me. Tomorrow, I can finally be done. Thank goodness. And I need to get some good sleep so that I can not have bad bags under my eyes for the last section of the video. Okay. Holy crap, I look so tired. Man. Okay. I'm Know Nothing attorney. I know nothing, so you can too. Because it's only in knowing nothing, embracing that we know nothing, that we can actually learn something. So, this is what it's aimed. And Batman. Yeah, Batman. Because I want to learn with you. So, as always, I'm proud of you. I don't need to know you for that to be real, because you deserve to hear it. Because life is hard. It's always been hard. It always will be hard. And the way you face each day the way you do is remarkable. So stay remarkable, and I'll see you at the convention. And I'll see you tomorrow on the day that we finish the video. Let's go. All right.